Bitcoin is at a very interesting level right now. We're going to talk a lot about Bitcoin today. There's so much going on, so many other pieces of news I want to talk about, but I have to talk about Bitcoin today. And one piece about Ethereum. First of all, let's look at the economic calendar. We have the initial jobless claims coming through today. That's going to be a big market mover. And then tomorrow we've got core PCE, which is also going to be a big market mover, where it's also OPEC's day tomorrow, the options expiration day. It's going to be a big wild one today and tomorrow, I think, based on these two things. So let's move into it, starting with Ethereum. There has been an SEC leak, and they're saying that July 2nd could be the day that we have an Ethereum ETF trading live. So keep your eyes on that. And I think with Ethereum, since we've already been seeing the dip, I think we're going to be seeing a sell the rumor, buy the news sort of scenario here with Ethereum, since it sold off of the news that the Ethereum ETF would be approved, and I think it will start getting bought up once it's actually trading. So let's look at that. Let's see if that theory actually plays out. And hold me to that. Let me know. Go definitely roast me if I get that wrong in the comments when it comes out, or not if it doesn't. But I do think that we saw the dip, and when it starts trading, I think that's when we start seeing the rip. Okay, now we need to talk about Bitcoin historical returns. This is a monthly, by the month, by in the year. So each year on the left, month on the top here. For June, you can see it is on average, it is a minus 0.5% month. Median also about 0.5%. One thing I do want you to notice, though, is that every single time we've had a negative June, it has been followed up by a positive July. Okay, every single time. And only once, or no, twice, only twice in the history of Bitcoin has a positive June been followed by a positive July. And those were not halving years. Anyways, so we're getting a negative June. 100% of the time in Bitcoin's history, a negative June has been followed by a positive July. And it has usually been a 9% plus July that comes through on that. I mean, and honestly, it's usually in double digits. You can see here, it's more double digit positives than single digit positives here for July when it is positive. And we are wrapping up with a negative June here, unless we get a 10% bump in the next few days. Remember, June ends in 3 days, then it's July. And we're looking at, if the run is to continue, July will be a positive month this year. Now let's go to weekly returns. This is where things get really interesting. So right now we are on week, I want to say 26. Yeah, we're on week 26 right now. Okay, we're on week 26. Guess what happens next? Next week is a positive 3% week on average. On average, it's a plus positive 3%, followed by a negative 3%. So we could be seeing chop for the next 2 weeks. But then the third and fourth week, so 3 and 4 weeks from now, week 29, that's going to be the third week of July. That right there is showing a 7.52% average move up in that week for Bitcoin. Now, if we look down here at these averages, not very many times does it go up to or above 7. We got 1 here, 8.79 on week 9. We got 10% on week 13. And is there anything else higher than that? 10% on week 44 and 7% on week 46. And that's about it. So this is the fourth best trading week of the entire year. So not next week, not the week after, but 3 weeks from now, it is the fourth best trading week of the entire year for Bitcoin, followed up by the week after that. So 4 weeks from now, also a positive week, average plus 4%. So we could be going flat, like we'll maybe go up a couple of percent next week, the week after, down about that same percent, and then followed by that an average of a 10% run in the 2 weeks after that. And then the week after that is also on average positive by another 1%, followed by even another week of positive 0.5% on average moves. So once we get through the next 2 weeks, the 4 weeks after that are all on average positive most of the time. So we're looking at a very bullish setup here. And we've never seen these 2 weeks green together. We've seen them negative together, but we've never seen them green together. Maybe we'll change that this year. We'll see. But we got to get through 2 weeks of chop potentially, and then 4 weeks of glory here, and that would take us into the second week right here. The second week of August would be week 32. I've mentioned the second week of August for being usually where that big move, those big moves up at the Bitcoin chart here. Now, I've got the Pi cycle chart up here, the Pi cycle top indicator on the chart here. You can see that we went to the top of the range, then we came to the bottom of the range. We have now crossed below the lower moving average on the Pi cycle top indicator. Now, since we are post-halving, we don't generally get below this lower moving average very often after a halving. Let's go look at the last time we did that. Let me turn off some of this stuff. Right, the last time we did that, it was 2020. It was like May 2020. Let's get back there. There we go. May 2020 would have been here. So the last halving happened in this little consolidation period here where we just got really, really tight from May until July. Oh, look at that. It's the third week of July. And then to where? Oh, about the second week of August where it topped out. That's convenient, isn't it? Just what I was talking about. Anyways, last time, this is what happened, right? It came just below it, barely got below the lower moving average. And then what happened? It absolutely launched from there. And we did not get back below that thing until after we had a topping. And then it came down below it to fake us all out in 2021 and then went for that double top. Let's take a look at 2016 now really quick for that. 2016. All right, it's back here. 2016. I can't remember when the halving was there. It was somewhere around here. Anyways, price came down, came just below the lower moving average here in July. This would have been after the halving there, and then launched up until when? Let's see, when was that? That was second week of July. So about the last week of July here, third, fourth week of July, we had a little pullback, and then it launched up until where? The second week of August. Look at that. That's really fun and interesting, isn't it? Anyways, and then we had one more little dip just below it, barely below it, for a wick below it, and then from there we launched. So historically, after the halving, getting into Bitcoin when it is below this lower moving average on the Pi cycle top tends to be a good buy zone. All right, that's just something I wanted to put in there. All right, let's take a look at some of these SMAs real quick. Let me get it all on the chart here. All right. My SMAs don't look proper today. Let me just make them better. That's better. Okay, so we came down to the 200-day, got close to tapping it. We're hitting the 5 right now. We are flagging at the 5. We could come back and test the 200 one more time at 57, 58,000, and that would give us a double bottom if we were to come and charge up above the 5-day moving average, and then up to the, is that the 20 or the 13? That's the 13. Let's make it the 20 for this. Okay. Up to the 20, which is at 65, and the 50, which would be holding us back, which is also coincidentally the bottom moving average for the Pi cycle top indicator here at 66,000. Above 66,000, we are launching. So that is kind of what we're looking for. We're looking for a move above 66,000, which will take us to the top of the range again, which will be 72,000, and then we will be running all-time highs if we take out that 72,000 on Bitcoin. We are looking bullish in that we are coming to the 200-day moving average, which we already nearly tapped once. We're below the lower moving average on the Pi cycle top after the halving, which is super, super bullish. And I got one more thing I want to show you. I found a new tool yesterday while I was playing with this, and this is something that I really want you to see. Okay, let's turn on the drawings. Boom. All right, so this is the bar pattern chart. Basically, you take it, you draw some of the bars, and then they copy, and then you can move them around. These bars right here, let me make them nice and bright for you. This looks fairly similar, right? We had like this area where we popped up from in a big way, then we started to consolidate. Then here in the middle, this one diverted, went up instead of down, but then it came and did a double top, came down, consolidated down, and then launched from there. Now we are reaching a similar point of downward movement before moving up, right? On this one, here's the yellow bar. It went down 13% before taking off, and it went a lot higher than that. That's just where I stopped tracking it. In our case here, we have already gone down in total 18%. That's about that 20% pullback that we want to look at, right? We're also seeing that it's done a very, very similar pattern in the past before taking off and launching. And this is that area where it launched, and then it did go higher than that. So this is a fun little tool to play with the bar pattern. So we're below the lower moving average on pi cycle top. We closed in on the 200-day moving average, didn't break it. We're hanging out at the 5. We could come up. This is historically an area where Bitcoin does Bitcoin things and starts to take off. We've seen similar patterns before on Bitcoin that ended in a launch. I am looking at Bitcoin coming up in 2 weeks from now, coming up on the 4th best trading week of the year for Bitcoin, which is also followed by 3 more weeks of bullish action. I think that the end of this consolidation period is coming very soon for Bitcoin based on those things. So if you made it this far, please like, comment, and subscribe, and have a profitable day.